Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaren Wade. Joining me, as always, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo.
How are you doing?
Jaren, I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling bad.
Matt, I'm currently battling myself right now because I have that nose feeling that I want to sneeze, but nothing's coming out. But it's still itchy.
Oh, man.
And not the greatest, Matt. I'm not feeling the greatest because of this, but Matt, why are you feeling bad, man?
Jaren, I think it has to do with, that thing that we've been dealing with for a while now, Jaren, which is that we are not young men anymore.
Matt, I love our weekly update to all our friends listening out there that Matt, even though we try, I don't think we can beat Father Time here. And Matt, Father Time has hands.
Oh, man. Father Time's not letting up, Jaren. Father Time is not letting up.
But what's up, Matt?
Jaren, I hurt myself in, I think, one of the worst ways I've hurt myself ever.
I don't know, Matt. Not to toot my own horn, Matt, but I've hurt myself trying to, get on a merry-go-round. I've hurt myself playing Dance Central, so I think this is some fierce competition in the Mistake Zone, right? Matt, normally we're a tag team, but I'm putting out on the table my not fun oopsies. So Matt, you're up to bat.
Okay. Jaren, I think compared to your oopsies, mine isn't as bad, but I think mine might be up there in embarrassment.
Okay.
Jaren, I hurt myself wiping my butt while I was pooping.
Well, Matt, that has been the Mistake Zone for this week. Want to thank you, as always, for joining me this week. Matt. It's going to be one of those episodes, isn't it?
It's going to be one of those episodes, Jaren.
Are you okay, Matt?
Jaren, okay. One of the positives out of this is that I am sitting the straightest that I have ever sat for the past, day and a half.
And, excuse my French, but you also have a clean butt, which is also good.
I also have a clean butt. Jaren, when I went to, I was just doing my thing, having a good old time, taking a poop, one of my favorite activities. And, when I was finishing up, I went to go wipe my butt. Jaren, I kind of leaned over, just so I have better access to, do some butt wiping. And I don't know exactly what happened, but I think I leaned bad. And when I leaned, I kind of also kind of crunched, I guess, slightly to the right. And all of a sudden, I just felt, when if you pull a muscle and then immediate heat just radiates throughout the whole thing? Jaren, the whole lower right part of my back feels so messed up whenever I slouch right now.
Matt reminds me of when Matt, you're speaking to the choir because that reminds me of when I decide to go back to ease my way back into deadlifts and add those to my back rotation of back exercises. That, not the greatest. I know. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but remember a few years back when we recorded that Saturday Morning Arcade 10-year anniversary? That was after a easing back into deadlifting day, and that was not a good time for your pal Jaren. And that, all I can say to you is might have to rotate in some more lower back stretches, Matt, into your morning routine. Matt, I hate stretching, but in the losing battle against Father Time, I feel like stretching becomes ever so important. And but Matt, sometimes when I want to, after I do my exercises, I know Matt, I know you're supposed to do some dynamic stretches before, some static stretches after, but Matt, once I'm done my actual workout, I just want to get to that Ninja Creamy protein ice cream I made the night before.
Ooh, nice.
And I neglect those stretches. But Matt, let's new friendship promise. Matt, we're gonna stretch more. This is a friendship promise to us and all our friends listening out there. Just to stretch more. It will make your protein ice cream taste a bit better afterwards. But Matt, unfortunate. I hate that for you. I hope you are feeling better because Matt, back pain's no joke. Got to stretch more. Yep. That's the unfortunate truth. But other than unfortunate back pains, Matt, what else have you been up to this week?
Jaren, I have been, kind of just looking around a lot on Steam for, stuff to spend my medium difficulty earned money on.
Yes.
And Jaren, I haven't really been finding all that much, Jaren. I think since last week, I've bought I think $10 worth of stuff, which was just DLC for Case of the Golden Idol.
Matt, I'm kind of in a similar boat where I haven't really spent much this Steam sale, which is a shame just because, Matt, the cards you can collect for, speaking about the trading cards and the inventory from last week, really like all the card designs, so I do want to collect them. But Matt, I currently have, I think, 3 items in my cart, and some of them aren't really that big of a sale. And honestly, one game I'm gonna briefly mention a bit later in this episode, I found on cheaper on in another place, so I bought it there. So that doesn't go towards my Steam sale trading card acquisition, which also feels bad. But Matt, the Case of the Golden Idol, that also just came to Game Pass recently.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think available now on Game Pass, just because when I was browsing, just stuff to download, stuff to play, I saw that Golden Idol recently is now available. So, Matt, have you been playing the DLC, or did you just add it to your vault right now?
I have just added it to the vault for now. I'm planning on probably jumping into it once I finish up with Grand Blue Fantasy.
Fair.
Because, I kind of want to get that out of the way before I dive into something else. But,
so, continuing from last week, Matt, any updates from Grand Blue?
Nothing major, Jaren. I am kind of just still plodding along in the story, kind of doing a slow grind of stuff right now because I'm getting the opportunity to unlock more and more characters, and I kind of want to see where all these characters are kind of going.
Okay, that's good, Matt. Have you been hunting anything unique?
Honestly, Jaren, not really. They're all I've kind of been grinding the kind of same griffins, same wind elementals, same ice wolves that I was kind of this past week. Okay. So that's kind of what led me back to kind of going through the discovery queue, because until last week I had honestly totally forgot about that feature of Steam sales until you brought it up. And Jaren, I'm very, very disappointed in my discovery queue.
Also, because what's been recommended to you?
Jaren, okay, a lot of the games that are getting recommended to me are falling into that kind of category of I don't want to wishlist this, but I also don't want to ignore it. Or they're falling into these are definitely ignores. Or, Jaren, I don't know exactly how to, edit my discovery queue preferences. But the amount of times that I have gone to a game and been or got pushed a game on my discovery queue and been oh, this looks really cool. Let me look into this a little bit more. And then I go 2 screenshots over and realize it's a porn or hentai game.
Yep.
Is wildly high, Jaren.
Matt, like yourself, I don't think I actually turned off, hide all explicit games or whatnot. And Matt, every time I get those in a, in a discovery queue, I'm always looking at the right side of the screen just to say, oh, this is based on the fact that you play, Doki Doki Literature Club or, this visual novel. And that does not make me feel good about myself. But,
Oh, man.
Matt, can we try a segment that may or may not, that will probably get cut?
Okay.
So, Matt, I'm going to click here to begin my discovery queue right now for the day so I can get my card, of course.
Okay.
And Matt, I'm going to go through these 12 items and see if this is for me or for not.
Okay.
But Matt, the first game I was recommended was something called Frog Monster. And this seems to be a voxel first-person shooter. And Matt, this is relevant to me because it's similar to BioShock Infinite.
Oh, yeah,
Matt,
same for me.
I'm going to next in queue this.
Yep.
Matt, my next game is Civ 7. It's because I've played games tagged with multiplayer, single player, and PvP. Matt, I appreciate being recommended Civ 7. Not that I'm ever going to play Civ 7, but I know when you finish your Steam discovery queue for the day, it will tell you, oh, you've been served. It will tell you your lifetime Steam stat of how many games you were served in the discovery queue. And credit to the discovery queue itself, where I feel like it tries not to double dip, more or less. And every time I do it now that I'm 1,000 titles deep in recommendations, I feel like I'm not necessarily being recommended anything in particular that I want to play. Like, no offense to Scourge of War Remastered. Don't want to play that. Nancy Drew, Mystery of the Seven Keys. Matt, this is apparently similar to Content Warning, but it's also $40, so I'm going to next in queue this. Matt, I got train capacity 300%. And I'm looking at the popular user-defined tags. I see hentai, sexual content, crime, not safe for work, and mature next in queue.
Well,
Matt, I got another popular user detail tag, nudity. Matt, I need to really turn off the show me explicit games just because it's padding my queues, Matt, and I'm not going to get them.
Jaren, that's all that's left for you to get recommended.
Because even though you can hide titles from, your friends list to show that it's actually in your library, Matt, I feel like that I'm too far gone if I did that. And just clicking through my queue real quick, Matt, nothing interesting, but I did get a card.
Nice.
Matt, my queue activity, I've viewed 3,497 titles in queue. Hence why I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel right now.
Jaren, okay. Honestly, as far I know, like, we probably shouldn't spend this much time on like hentai games, Jaren.
Yeah.
But I want to bring up one specific one because I am surprised that this exists.
Okay.
Jaren, it is a gacha hentai game, and
not sure why that surprises you.
Okay, see, the thing is that like it is surprising to me that in my head, a like hentai game is a game that you enjoy on your own. It's not one that you participate in a gacha or multiplayer kind of like lobby in.
So you're saying H games you need to sit alone with your shame rather
sit
than
alone
be
with your shame. And Jared, honestly, this game is also, I think, based on the non-porn screenshots, is a strategy, strategy game. And I actually really want to play this based on how the gameplay screenshots look. But I don't want to fall into a new gacha game that is also an H game.
Matt, where did we go wrong this episode?
Oh, man.
It's already off the rails. But, Matt, to sort of bring it back, Matt, there's a new Nikke summer event going on right now.
Nice.
And to go full circle, so Nikke, gacha game, anime girl butt shooting game. I said words. I said a word salad just now, but all our friends know I've talked about Nikke in the past. This is their latest summer event. It's a pretty big event, Matt. You have your new swimsuit unit, or pre-existing units, but there's swimsuit variations, returning units from last summer, new costumes, and Matt. More importantly, there is one surprising collab in this summer event. And this was announced a few weeks ago, and I didn't get into it just because it was definitely something I would be playing. But Matt, the latest Nikke Goddess of Victory collaboration is with Dave the Diver. And Matt, when you hear Dave the Diver collab, you would think, oh, is there just some costume? Just because, Matt, of course, there's no male Nikke. There's no male characters that you play as that you can add to a unit just because, Matt.
Jared, you're telling me that Dave, the titular diver, is not going to be shooting guns and you can see his butt jiggle?
No, unfortunately not.
It's disappointing.
But Dave, Bancho, and all the characters from the Dave the Diver do appear just because this follows the Aegis squad. They're the kind of aquatic, the Navy adjacent squad in Nikke. And Matt, they get isekai'd into another world just because they were trying to find out essentially in the Nikke lore, there's this big baddie. I think it's the Collector, or I forget its name proper. But it uses something called the D-Wave to bring forth other essentially entities from other dimensions into the world of Nikke, and then they have to fight the Collector or whatever in order to send their new friends back home, whether it be Chainsaw Man, whether it be our friends from Nier Automata, or whether it be the friends from ReZero. But Matt, in a crazy turn of events, it's now Nikke being isekai'd into the Dave the Diver universe, where the Collector is emerged somewhere under the sea, and in order to break their shields, they need to serve it some sort of crazy sushi, just because that's how it works in anime, apparently. But Matt, our Nikke friends meet Dave, they meet Bancho, as I said, but all in all, this collab serves as a demo for Dave the Diver. You play as, one of the three Nikkes, and then you go through what you expect to go through in Dave the Diver. You have the first part of diving, trying to collect fish, using weapons to try to hunt the bigger fish, the bigger enemies, and at the while all managing your pressure and your oxygen levels. And then at night you can take your haul, go to bring it to Bancho. He set up your sushi menu, and then you deliver the sushi he makes to the customers coming in. And Matt, it really is a bite-sized version of Dave the Diver. You can use your earnings from the restaurant portion to upgrade your boat, to upgrade your swimming gear in order for you to dive deeper and deeper to get more fish. And I was actually really impressed that they just fully put on a portion of this indie game, just because, in the past we've had different mini games come to Nikke. You have your Vampire Survivors, which is now a permanent mode in the game. And then you have, with the ReZero, it was like a smaller, essentially, what was it, Matt? Tapper, or that game where you kind of get a menu item and then you deliver it to someone sitting down. But it was really just smaller mini games. And again, this is a full-on fledged take on Dave the Diver, which, to the point, Matt, got me to actually purchase Dave the Diver during this Steam summer sale, just so I can get, a more in-depth experience. But really impressed by the collaboration. And for Dave the Diver proper, you can redeem a code to get a Nikke skin for your boat. But I think it was actually pretty cool to see, positive feedback from the community, similar sentiment of, hey, I didn't know what Dave the Diver was previously, or it was something that was always in the back of my head, and this Nikke minigame finally pushed me over the edge to, buy it on sale. Where, Matt, What do you think of collabs like that actually just serves as demos for things?
It's pretty interesting. Like I think as far as advertising goes, it seems like it did its job on you, Jared.
Yep.
And
Once again, victim of this gotcha.
honestly, I can't really think of many other games that kind of sound like they go as in depth on what they're cross promoting with as like what you described for this Nikke Dave the Diver.
Yeah, again, like
Yeah.
the Nikke collabs previously, these were just units from those universes, Chainsaw Man, Nier, ReZero, and just to get a bite-sized taste of Dave the Diver was pretty impressive. But Matt, on the flip side, in the Nikke minigame, it's summer. It's a summer event, Matt. So of course you have a fishing game.
Yeah, of course.
And Matt, the fishing minigame in Nikke, separate from Dave the Diver, I have such mixed feelings for because Matt, this was something that they had to hot fix, just because there was a lot of negative community sentiment about how it played. Because Matt, so for the Nikke fishing minigame, you can equip different fishing rods, and then you can get bait. And when you first initiate the fishing minigame, you have, your golf power meter. And say that power meter has a blue section, a purple section, and a gold section, which dictate, if you get where you land on the power meter, that's, in theory, the type of fish you're going to try to attempt to catch.
I see.
But Matt, first things first. That's not a guarantee you're going to catch said fish, where, say you land on blue, you'll get the rare fish, purple, the epic fish, and so on and so forth. But you are only doing a higher percentage chance to get that fish, where, say I would aim for the yellow legendary section, and it would be a toss-up if I would actually get the legendary fish or a rare fish or a purple fish. But
so Jared, you're saying that rate up is a lie.
Possibly. But here's where my personal frustrations come in. Okay. So that once you catch a fish, Matt, it goes into a rhythm game, sort of similar to what the fishing minigame was in Hollow Cure, where you have scrolling direction icons, and then you have to tap it when it gets to the beat area. Matt, let's just say initially, especially playing on your phone, where the icons for the directions, or your D-pad, your virtual D-pad, let's say they're spaced in a way where, sure, you can hit left and right pretty easily, but when you're trying to shift to up and down, you may overshoot it, or you may undershoot it in a way, and then that causes you to miss it. But other than that, Matt, timing is strict. Not only is timing strict to get, so essentially when you catch a fish, they'll have a health bar. It'll be 50% for rares, 70% for epics, 80 for legendary fishes. And every time, if you get a perfect, you'll do the maximum damage. You get a great, you'll do less damage. A good, even less damage. So that's kind of the combat, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Now here's the issue, Matt. Not only do you have a set amount of time to actually catch the fish, aka whittle down its life bar, but if you get a bad on a hit, not only does the fish gain health, but you get temporarily stunned, so you can't actually hit another direction. And if that's a section where it's multiple icons in a row, you're donezo. And Matt, yes, it does get manageable once you buy more fishing rods and more some of the stronger bait, but the grind to get there, not great, Matt. I feel like you have too many elements there in between the time limit, in between the health bar bads or misses getting, adding health, and that. I feel like getting stun locked for getting a bad is one too many penalties for you, essentially missing a note. So I feel like that's been a pain, where I've gotten all the normal rewards for the minigame after, I hate to admit it, Matt, a few hours. where I can continue playing to get my fish, collection done, but there's no reason for me to do that. Where it could have been an okay fishing mini game if it didn't have those setbacks. But Matt, do you have a preferred fishing mini game when it comes to video game fishing?
Jaren, for me, I like me just a simple fishing mini game.
Yes.
So honestly, Jaren, Animal Crossing is basically like right for me. Like, you throw your bobber into the water, you wait until it fully submerges, and then you just press like your A button, and then you pull up the fish. I think as complicated as I like my fishing mini games to be, especially on ones where you need to farm fish.
Yes. No frills, Matt. No frills. That's what we want out of a fishing game. But yeah, check out the Nikke summer event. The story is kind of wild again in Nikke fashion, Matt, where our two Nikke heroines for the event, they get into some trouble and they in some gang war. So as punishment, they have to go get their photos taken on a beach for PR purposes.
Classic.
And that's
Classic.
Nikke in a nutshell, Matt. But Matt, speaking about anime adjacent things, Matt, it was Anime Expo this past weekend.
Yes.
And in between a lot of cool cosplaying that I've been seeing on my timeline, Matt, back to Megan Thee Stallion's Otaku Hot Girl, of course. We had a lot of news and announcements coming from the event from various anime studios, various franchises. And Matt, should we do some quick hits from Anime Expo right now?
Yeah, let's do it up.
Matt, I'm taking a few of these from, Crunchyroll, from Anime News Network. Matt, I essentially just put Anime Expo news breakdown into Google and just picking what I found. But Matt, I think one of the biggest pieces of news to come from Anime Expo was something that you mentioned to me or when it was announced. But Matt, we have Fire Force Anime's third/final season debuting in April 2025, with second part airing January 2026. Matt, I feel like this was something we mentioned offhand last week, but here it is officially in front of our eyes. The ending to the Fire Force anime coming next year and early 2026. How are you feeling, Matt?
Jaren, I'm excited to see how this is going to be done, because I think that the back half of Fire Force goes kind of wild, and I'm really interested in seeing how, one, it's going to get executed, and two, it's going to be received by the anime community.
Just because, maybe slight spoilers here as well, but as we mentioned, again, as I said offhandedly next week, some of those panels and some of those chapters that you linked me to, Matt, in the later chapters of Fire Force, would you say art shift is an understatement?
Art shift is an understatement. Jaren, art shift is an understatement on what happens in the later part of that series, and I'm interested in seeing how that shift is going to be handled. Matt,
from what you saw, how was the ending or the lead up to the ending of Fire Force received manga-wise?
I personally enjoyed the ending of Fire Force.
Right.
Fire Force itself, when I was kind of reading, I guess just internet opinions as it was coming out, was that it very much was a love it or hate it type of situation.
Fair.
I knowing the ending, very much agreed with, you either are going to really like this ending or really think this ending is not a good comparison to the first part of Fire Force, I think.
Matt, I'll be honest. When Fire Force ended, immediately I took to our friend Google once again. And I Googled Fire Force ending, who does Shinra end up with?
Oh, man.
Matt, didn't like the answer I received, and I think I'm being stubborn and I won't finish Fire Force for that reason. Matt, should I finish Fire Force?
Jaren, if you want a idea on who, like how, Jaren, the end pairings, I think you are not going to enjoy going through Fire Force's ending.
Matt, this is what 20 years of friendship has resulted in. So, Matt, I thank you. I thank you. Matt, moving on. Or any other thoughts on Fire Force and its anime season finale?
Like I said, I'm really looking forward to it. I was very surprised at what they decided to put into that trailer in terms of like Fire Force's like end story.
Okay. And anything in particular, without too much spoilers, or
I just think that the trailer is very more overtly spoilery than I would have thought it was going to be.
Without doing an art shift, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Without doing hard spoilers, I thought that was a very spoilery like thing to look at.
So if you were just a passerby or an outsider looking in, is this one of those trailers where if that's really weird, but to a casual fan it's whatever?
I think it's if like that's what makes it weird, but there's enough stuff there that can lead you to realizing how Fire Force's story plays out.
That's kind of weird, Matt. Maybe I won't watch this. Also out of principle, because Shinro, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Matt, Crunchyroll to stream Blue Lock Season 2 anime. New season debuts October 5th. Matt, will you be watching the Blue Lock Season 2 anime?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with Season 2 of Blue Lock. I think this is going to be one of those, I guess it's a little bit spoilery in terms of how it's going to go, but a very like Haikyuu-esque season. Nice. Where it is going to be one of those, like, the whole season is like, in essence, one game. If it's the arc,
less nice.
But like, I don't know. Like, I think that might be how this season plays out, and I'm interested in seeing it.
Matt, does Nagi become more likable, you think? In this season,
if I remember right, in this season, Nagi, I think, didn't get that much development.
Damn. That's how you treat the character you give a movie to, huh? I see, Matt. I see.
His development is honestly like a season after this. A lot of his development comes a season after this.
Okay. Nagi fans in shambles right now. But again, Blue Lock Season 2, October 5th. But also coming this October, Matt, something that we discussed back in the golden ages of 2019. Demon Lord Retry R anime reveals October debut, promo video, and Crunchyroll streaming. Matt, I really liked Demon Lord Retry.
Jaren, I also enjoyed Demon Lord Retry.
I fell off Demon Lord Retry R pretty fast, and you would think that would be weird because, Matt, they introduced a gal character and right up my alley, as you would think, correct? But I feel like with at least I think I read the first several chapters of Demon Lord Retry R, it gave me too much of a Saved by the Bell, the new class feel, where all the characters we kind of meet and are introduced in the initial, run of Demon Lord Retry, they're back at home, managing everything, the kingdom that they're putting together. And, we have our boy, Matt, what's his name again?
Jared, I don't know anybody's names in these things. Demon Lord.
Oh, Kunai, I think, right? Or was it Akira? Oh, no. One of those. Matt, our Demon Lord pal. But yeah, essentially he goes off on his own mission and brings forth a bunch of new characters to work with. And not a friend, Matt. I wanted to see more Aku. I wanted to see more Luna. I wanted to see the doctor character. I think it was you. And Matt, I wanted to see Akira and you get together, but sorry, not seeing, didn't see much of that in Demon Lord Retry R, where I think now that the anime has been announced, I might try to catch up on the manga just to see. But again, Matt, I'm in that camp of if I read through the manga, I'm less likely to check out the anime. I might watch a few episodes here and there, but kind of the same sentiment of it's hard for me to replay games multiple times. But not anything else from Anime Expo that caught your attention.
Jaren, one thing that really caught my attention was the news that Omniscient Reader is getting an anime. And I don't think they announced when it is going to be getting its anime, but I'm surprised to see that it's getting one because Jaren, I feel like Korean manhwa have been on a roll lately in terms of getting anime adaptations, and I'm really, really hopeful that some of my favorites end up getting picked up in the next few years.
In terms of ones you would want to see picked up, is there anything in particular that you would recommend or that you hope to see get picked up?
I think, well, like, personally, one of my favorites, and I think it doesn't have a great chance of getting picked up, is Return of the Mount Hua Sect, which is, like, falls into, Jaren, that kind of, like, when, like, Korea, Japan, and like China were all kind of like in that like warring states period. Like it takes place in like that. It's like I guess like a period piece technically.
Okay.
I don't know if it would actually be considered that, but like in my head, I'm considering it like a period piece. A lot of them do kind of like fall into that genre. I think one that might be likely is like story of a low-ranked soldier becoming a monarch would be really cool to see because it is kind of a very shonen-y story of, you know, just guy lives his life as a low-ranking soldier, and then the standard gets sent back in time with like knowledge of the war, and now he, you know, kind of plays it.
Classic.
Like, there's a lot of, I think, stories that I really would like to see get pulled into an anime medium.
Classic, Matt. Classic. Something else that popped out to me, Matt. Guilty Gear Strife, Dual Rulers anime teaser trailer confirms some of the cast and a 2025 debut. Matt, I'm bad at Guilty Gear. I'm bad at fighting games, but I'm especially bad at Guilty Gear, which is kind of a shame just because when I think of fighting game franchises with character designs that are definitely right up my alley, I think it's always going to be Guilty Gear, top of the list for me. There's just something about its aesthetic, its look, its style, its character designs that was always so appealing to me to the point where I would always feel bad that these really cool characters are being not so coolly played by myself. And just to see a Guilty Gear anime announced, I think I was sharing it to all my friends who are also into the franchise, and definitely excitement all around. I don't know, Matt, I feel like with a lot of the anime fighting games in particular, if you're unable to do the fancy schmancy combos, you know, you're always longing to see someone with great execution. And as someone who enjoys looking up character lore, arcade mode interactions and endings, Guilty Gear is definitely something that now I am just excited to consume in a different way that doesn't involve me mashing and dying to the CPU. So definitely something I'm excited for in 2025. Matt, some more quick hits. We have Parco announced the Junji Ito x Sanrio character collab. Matt, the key art with Tomi and a bunch of Hello Kitties around her.
Jaren, when you going to Osaka, bro? When you going to Osaka?
As Matt kind of implied there, the pop-up store will be available in the Shibuya Parco store between August 23rd and September 9th.
Oh, Shibuya.
No, but Matt, in the Shinsabashi Parco store in Osaka between September 27th and October 14th. As I said, you know, it's Tomi and also the lovesick Crossroads boy interacting with a bunch of different Sanrio characters. Matt, I need me that Tomi print. I need me that Tomy acrylic stand. I need me that Tomy t-shirt. I know the yen's pretty bad right now, Matt. Yen's pretty bad right now, but flights from Toronto to Japan, not the greatest.
Oh, man.
Slightly cheaper if you fly first to Calgary and then you fly to Japan. So, Matt, what I'm willing to do for Tomy merchandise.
Oh, man.
Matt, next news story I wanted to get into as well. Matt, how do you feel about a new Crazy Taxi title being apparently an open world, massively multiplayer AAA game, according to SEGA?
Jaren, it being open world seemed interesting to me. It being massively multiplayer, not so much. I don't know where these are going to like intersect, or how that's going to intersect in terms of how I view Crazy Taxi in my mind.
Fair enough. Matt, I'm going to lift this from Automaton's Kosuke Takinaka. So apparently, according to a Sega job posting, it indicates that the sequel will be a large-scale open-world, massively multiplayer driving game. A video interview with the game's development team reveals further details, including that series producer Kenji Kano remarks that the upcoming game is being developed as a completely new Crazy Taxi that can be played by many players at once. The team is currently resolving the specifics and testing the game's capability with multiplayer play. Their goal is to maintain the Crazy Taxi style while implementing new mechanics. Apart from a realistic city environment, the developers mentioned working on a theme park-like map and motifs inspired by the U.S. West Coast. Matt, I feel like, when this first came out, all those rumors started that SEGA was looking to make games as a service inspired by Fortnite. I think they were called super games or mega games, something along those lines. And when, kind of like you, when I initially hear, Crazy Taxi, open world, MMO, light MMO, AAA game, at first I felt a little uneasy about that, just because growing up, Crazy Taxi was always that multiplayer experience where, you would go to the arcades, or Matt, for me specifically, not sure about yourself, you would go to a fam jam with that cousin who owned a Dreamcast, and then you would just pass the controller for rounds of Crazy Taxi.
Yeah.
I feel like that was such an arcade experience that, resonates with me so well, just because it was the perfect arcade game, something you can share, easy to get into, hard to master. But Matt, when you kind of think about it, or at least when I kind of think about it, if there was any Sega property to actually, achieve this games as a service goal, this Fortnite inspiration, I think Crazy Taxi is a better fit the more you think about it.
Oh, really?
Because on one hand, Matt, think about how much product placement was in the original Crazy Taxi. Think about how much KFCs we drove to. Think about how many Tower Records we drove to. Think about how many Taco Bells we drove to The Offspring. Now, on the flip side, think about not only how you see your car, your Crazy Taxi, but you also see your Crazy Taxi driver. In that, if I'm looking to see how you monetize this, how you add a battle pass, I'm sorry to sound disgusting, you sell car bodies, you sell different, exhausts, you sell different rims, you sell different drivers. But
okay.
Monetization aside, I think why I'm more so open to the idea of this is because I have experience with, not surprisingly enough, the Forza Horizon games is what I kind of look to see how would you in theory adapt a Crazy Taxi game to be this light multiplayer game, especially in an open world where you have your Forza Horizon games where everyone is kind of driving on their own, doing their own thing. You know, everyone's kind of going to different events in and out of their own single player races. But every now and then there are these community races. There are these community events of, hey, come to this area and let's all complete a bunch of different challenges. Or you see someone driving the world, hey, let's flash my high beams and get a race going. Or let's all go meet up here just to do the weird battle royale mode in this game. Where I think with how open world driving games have handled this, you know, multiplayer, but not directly, you know, both PvP and PvE aspects ever since Burnout Paradise, I can see this being something to capitalize on that. Not saying it's going to be successful, not going to say it's going to catch on, but I feel like the way open world driving games have kind of evolved into that games as a service space, I do think it will have, at least there's some potential there if you kind of lift off on that. Hey, you know, it's not going to be solely, oh, let's all race to this one you know, person who needs to go somewhere, and then fastest person, first one to get them and then deliver them. Or, hey, someone's driving a passenger, I'm going to ram into them and then take their passenger. I think it's going to be less of that, even though it's going to exist in a way. But I can definitely see this being more Burnout Paradise, being more Forza Horizon. And then even that, unfortunately, like, say what you will, Forza Horizon has made this blueprint of how you make an open world multiplayer driving game that is also a service with its weekly events, whether it be your quote unquote raid races where you team up and you race really hard AI. So that I feel like it's still going to be Crazy Taxi in name, but it's going to be a lot more than just simply take a passenger to point B, where you're probably going to race. You're probably going to smash stuff, but
I think
don't
that's
know.
like my biggest thing is that, like, in my head, Crazy Taxi is just like you said, drive passenger from point A to point B. You know, it being to me a Dreamcast game, you know, not really memorizing maps and going, where the hell is this arrow pointing me? And I feel like in an open world game that would still make sense, but like when it mentioned the kind of MMO aspect of it, I was more so like, I don't know if worried is the right word, but like wondering how it becomes a multiplayer game while still being Crazy Taxi and not becoming a racing game. But like, you know, King of the Hill, or like, you know, knocking a passenger out of somebody else's taxi to take it from them so you can live them is actually a pretty good goof.
Hopefully that's something that we can see. But yeah, I feel, even though I would be excited just to see how much they lift from a Burnout Paradise, how much they lift from a Forza Horizon, at the same time, of course, Matt, the worry is, oh, will this lose the essence of a Crazy Taxi, of what we know growing up? And how will it be monetized? Because Matt, you know, I'm looking at that Sega All-Stars, you know, that kart game they released, and I'm seeing all those Sega characters, all their different karts, and Matt, I can see those easily translating into new MMO Crazy Taxi. And of course, Sega will definitely charge you for that. Where, Matt, how long until Sega releases the Persona or the Outlast Battle Pass and you're trying to unlock Morgana as a taxi and Joker as a driver?
Honestly, Jaren, I if we were kind of like going a little bit back in this conversation to making Sega games into kind of like games as a service franchises, I would more so expect the Persona Battle Pass to be inside of Jet Set Radio.
Fair enough, man.
I honestly also expect, if they're gonna do games for service, maybe Jet Set Radio becomes a gacha game.
Like, again, when they say that, oh, we're trying to make these mega games or these super games, and you know, Crazy Taxi was one of them, and then Jet Set Radio is one of them, I again try to look, oh, how can that work where with Jet Set Radio, it's the same thing. I think back to the Skate multiplayer and how you can go to this one location and you're all compete. Sure, there were playlists of, hey, we're gonna do racing, we're gonna do trick-offs, but it's, oh, let's do the PI or the PVE portion of, hey, we're all at this parking garage. Let's all do these tricks over this gap. And as long as everyone does all the tricks by the end, everyone gets it to the next round. I kind of see something similar where, you'll see a lot of different skaters skating around the environment. And it's like, hey, let's all get together in this one area and let's start a race, or let's start a tag battle, or let's fight a bunch of the police characters or whatnot. Where honestly, I think without actually seeing what they're doing with these titles, all I can do is how can they lift off what service games in like similar genres have been doing lately, and that would be Forza Horizon and Burnout Paradise for Crazy Taxi. And I guess the closest thing to Jet Set Radio without actually being that close would be something like, Riders Republic, where, you have this big playground and then you see a bunch of people riding around. Sure, they're all like computers for the most part, but you're meeting up to do events and massive races. So I don't know, Matt. It's definitely something I'm interested in, but again, I'm also worried, will a new Crazy Taxi, will a new Jet Set Radio, at least the MMO, the multiplayer ones, have the same essence as the games we, have such an attachment for growing up? Or will they just be, clones of pre-existing service games with said sticker or, that branding on top of it, that aesthetic on top of it? But I don't know. Matt, how are you feeling towards SEGA in 2024?
I mean, Jaren, I think as far as SEGA goes, for me, ever since they brought up the games that they're going to be redoing or working on again, like the 5 games that was like, it was like Jet Set, Shinobi, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, Crazy Taxi, and then looking at this image now, it says and more.
Of course.
I'm interested in seeing what they're going to be doing with these franchises.
Matt, of the 5 that was announced, I know we went through Crazy Taxi. I know we went through Jet Set. Does Shinobi, Golden Axe, and Streets of Rage mean anything to you in 2024?
Jaren, I think for me, all 3 of those, I've had maybe like an equal amount of playtime, which is at the level of, I played these at my cousin's house because they had it.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I know in terms of Streets of Rage 4 was pretty recent, right? I feel like that was a game I played during the pandemic, but I think of the 3 remaining games mentioned, I think Shinobi is the one I'm mostly curious in, just because do you think a Shinobi, like a modern Shinobi, sticks to... forgive me, because I can't remember if they actually showed any gameplay, and if it was actually maybe it was reminiscent of still the 2D side scroller that we associated with Shinobi. But for you personally, Matt, does something reminiscent to, I don't know, Mark of the Ninja or Katana Zero, does that interest you for a Shinobi, or would you want it to take on, say, a 3D action game, sort of like a Ninja Gaiden?
I really personally would want something more in line with Mark of the Ninja. Mm-hmm. Even though I think that like the Shinobi games were a lot more action-y than Mark of the Ninja was.
Fair enough, Matt. All I'm thinking about is how they're going to insert Joker into all these different games, because, Sega must love that Atlas money. But finally, Matt, that Sega announcement, I believe it was from the TGA, said and more. Matt, take us home here, Matt. What and more do you want to see from Sega? Oh. And is it Vector Man?
Oh man, Jared, I forgot about Vector Man. I would love to see more Vector Man. Jared, I think for me, does Sega own Altered Beast, or who owns Altered Beast?
Matt, let's see what our friend Google says. Altered Beast. That has to be a Sega or a Capcom joint, right? That is developer SEGA.
Okay.
Team Shinobi. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Jaren, Altered Beast is, I think, one of my go-to franchises for like Sega stuff.
Fair, Matt. You know me. I'm a Sega boy, and I associate Sega with Jet Set Radio Future. They should just remake or remaster Jet Set Radio Future. That's all I need, Matt. I don't need. I know they're trying to make a jet. You know, part of this announcement was Crazy Taxi. Not only is it getting a new game, but it's also getting a remake. And then Jet Set Radio. The rumor is, you know, the multiplayer game, and as well as a remake. And I hope it's not a remake of original Jet Set, because I love Jet Set Radio Future. I think that's up maybe top 3 of my favorite games all time. So that's what I want to see, Matt.
Jaren, I opened up kind of just Sega's wiki of games when I was trying to fact check Altered Beast. Jaren?
Yep.
Totally forgot about Virtual On. Jaren, need me some Virtual On.
That'd be good, Matt. I wonder if since we're in that fighting game renaissance, I wonder if Virtual Fighter will make an appearance as well. Where, I don't know, just bring back Snowboard Kids for Atlas. I love me some Snowboard Kids.
Jaren, did they ever bring back Space Channel 5?
Oh, Matt. Oh, they should totally bring back Space Channel 5. Do they? No. Should they? Yes. Oh, man.
That'd be wild.
Man, Matt, you know, we've been at this for a minute, but I feel like I need to update you with my adventures in the lands of between, because, Matt, I'm still trucking along with Elden Ring, specifically, you know, Shadows of the Erdtree DLC. I think when I first talked to you about it, I was around, let's say, 10 hours.
Yes.
Matt, I think I'm pushing towards 50 now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And Matt, I think in terms of progress,
Yeah, have you done 40 hours worth of progress, or?
I'm actually at the last legacy dungeon to go to the final boss, I believe.
How many legacy dungeons are there in
I think there are 3 legacy dungeons proper, and then a few, you know, smaller dungeons and medium-sized dungeons and world bosses, you know. But I think legacy dungeons specifically, there were 3, which was the first one with the Dancing Lion, and then Shadowkeep with the Mesmer boss, and then wherever I am right now, leading me to the final boss. And I think in terms of the 2 legacy dungeons I've done so far, I think Shadowkeep with Mesmer and the 2 other bosses that kind of reside in that general area was probably my favorite so far. I think it's visually as well one of the more striking ones, just because the storeroom area, which I guess is like the second portion of that dungeon, Matt, it's this big kind of reminiscent of a library, and then kind of floating or being held up are all these different, essentially stuffed animals, stuffed giants. And then one of the puzzles involves you kind of, you know, pulling levers for you to lift them up, and then you're able to continue traversing this library. And I think it's such a striking area. And then I also found this place called the Abyss Forest, and that place is spooky because I'm not sure if you've heard about the Abyss Forest, but what do you think of a open world game that, for, you know, quote unquote lore reasons, prevent you from actually using your mount?
Oh, I think it depends on how constrained the area is.
What if I told you this area, at least in theory, forces you to go stealth, because if this one enemy spots you, it will kind of spit madness down your throat?
I think I don't like that for what I picture in Elden Ring.
Fair enough. Yeah, I feel like the Abyss Forest in particular is definitely one of the more, from what I've seen, just reception-wise, it's a divisive area with a lot of people kind of liking its atmosphere, but at the same time, it's such a slower portion of the game, especially with those enemies, the fact that you can't, you know, call your horse. But Matt, it is really spooky just because you also have all of these different, messages on the ground saying, "Oh, it's watching you. Turn back while you can." It just has such a spooky atmosphere to it, which I really do appreciate. But regarding my adventures in the lands between, Matt, got to start off. I know when we first talked about Shadows of the Erdtree a few weeks ago, you said that if you were to check it out, you would want to check out a perfumer build.
Yes.
And that, unfortunately, we missed out because I'm not sure. Did you see the pre-patched lightning perfumer build?
I did not. Oh no, Jaren, did I miss out on a super OP build?
Matt,
Uh-huh.
what if I told you before the latest patch, you could kill the final boss? The final boss that everyone was complaining about just being super difficult, the hardest thing, kind of in Souls history. What if I told you this build let you beat that boss in 14 seconds?
Oh man, Jaren, I missed out. Oh.
Matt,
Uh-huh.
why does From Software hate fun?
Oh man.
Where when this patch hit, Matt, I was still pretty far off from being able to do this perfumer build where, Matt, I tried playing this game unpatched until I was able to get that perfumer build and beat the final boss in 14 seconds. That lasted a whole of 20 minutes, Matt.
Oh.
One, Matt, I didn't know Steam stops tracking your playtime if you're in offline mode.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that either.
And that made me feel bad because for some reason I like to see my playtime number. That I like to see numbers go up, and that includes my playtime on Steam. I like seeing my personal stats and seeing how long I played Elden Ring. So when I finally get around to my second playthrough fully modded, I need to find some workarounds for that. Second, Matt, playing offline removes the messages, of course, just because you're not connected online. And Matt, I found that I really started to miss the messages when I was playing offline, just because in a world that's brutal, in a world that's trying to kill you, there's something, for me personally, oddly comforting about just coming across a message. And sure, most of the times it's memes, but sometimes it's a bit helpful. And I don't know, just being able to connect that way, or seeing those spirits of other players running around the area, just seeing people doing, even though I'm in a safe space with that icon in the left hand corner, seeing people action rolling, I know, something's about to go down eventually. And I don't know, I miss that, Matt, where I ended up patching the game. Unfortunately can't do our 14-second perfumer build anymore, but
Sad.
Matt, I'm currently running a bleed build using one of the new Thorn skills, and it's working pretty well for me. But Matt, this brings me to I still hate the quest design for Elden Ring, just because I was looking up my different builds, and for this blood build in particular, this even extends to the base game. I'm missing out on a headpiece and a certain kind of consumable that I can't get anymore because one, I killed Mog way before killing any of his servants that dropped the headpiece I need. And two, I talked to the salamander lady before I talked to the cook in the swamp area, so now he doesn't sell me boiled crab that I need to beef up my physical damage. And that kind of extends to Shadows of the Erdtree in particular, where Matt, as someone who in the beginning, before I was trying to find all the shadow or the fragments and the ash relics just to beef up myself in the DLC, I was kind of exploring the area a lot more, where if you explore a certain region on your own, that forces story progression and essentially locks you out of like 2 character quest lines and then 2 alternative rewards for particular quests, one including a spirit ash that I really wanted to get when I found out that I missed out, where I don't know, it just feels crummy to, in such an open world environment, to kind of be punished for exploring in that way, where again, if if you're not aware of it, of course it doesn't affect you, but also I hate to admit that, as someone who is following a guide to get all those fragments, to get all those spirit ash relics or whatever, I feel like that also does me a disservice, where I'm looking at the map every time I find a new fragment, and I'm noticing NPCs moving around the map and realizing, oh, I'm usually beelining to this next area. I'm beelining through this dungeon so I can get this new fragment. And I'm not returning back to talk to a lot of the NPCs as well. Where I know one of, depending on which review or which feedback you're reading, a lot of people were either, for or kind of against of how more direct the story was for the DLC. But Matt, as someone trying to find all these fragments, I literally do not know anything about the story. I literally don't know who these characters are, or why they keep moving, why this girl Letta leaves me notes at bonfires of, hey, I made my decision, come find me at this bonfire, and I don't know what she's talking about, Matt. But gameplay is still fun. It's still more Elden Ring. And I appreciate, Matt, that I've killed 6 dragons in this DLC. And I appreciate that you can cheese all 6 of those, Matt.
Nice.
Where they're in areas or arenas that allow you to hide in a way for you to spam your magic. And that makes me feel pretty good about myself. I don't know, Matt. It's still Elden Ring. I think a lot of the, quest design decisions from the base game still apply here. And that kind of bums me out. But at the same time, Matt, had to ask a few of my friends of, hey, are you using this one helmet, or do you have a bunch of like boiled crabs that you can drop for me? Which my friends have. But Matt, in one of those exchanges today, we were invaded and we laughed it off because immediately my friend said, of course, this guy's using the meta PvP build.
Of course.
Not being invaded, not fun.
Yeah.
Also, I hate the multiplayer in this game, where I hate having to, opt into allowing your friends to drop down their signal or whatever, for you to try to find their signal. And then, Matt, it's so convoluted where I should just install the seamless co-op mod. I feel like that's something that I need to do at least once. But that's my quick, or I guess my final, not to get into the the difficulty discourse. Everyone's been having this so far. But Matt, I've fought a bunch of bosses, including 3 that had their own cinematic. But Matt, all I'm going to say is this Elden Ring is as difficult as you will make it. Just because on one hand, I do find that a lot of the bosses are they're fast-paced, Matt. They're relentless. I feel like a lot of them have these ungodly combos that are really fast. They have instant kill attacks. And Matt, some of their hits include AoEs as well. So, of course, if you're fighting them one-on-one, that's going to be difficult. But again, if you're using the tools that's being provided, if you use the gold summons, the NPC summons, and of course, Spirit Ashes, it's not that bad, Matt, in my opinion, where I'm still, even though I'm, dying repeatedly to a lot of bosses, I think in addition to the golden summons when applicable, and honestly, like your trusted mimic tier, it's still pretty manageable. So I don't know if it's still more Elden Ring, but Matt, Elden Ring is still good, even though I'm missing out on a lot of quests. But also, I'm scared I'm gonna be banned because Matt, I accidentally started Elden Ring with so Matt, I'm playing with a transmog mod.
I see,
as well.
I see. Yes.
where because I use the transmog mod when I want to take fun screenshots.
Yeah.
But I still don't want to be killed by any of the enemies in the area. And Matt accidentally started through Steam proper instead of using the start offline mod. Starting it proper, even though I'm in offline mode, still flagged the anti-cheat where...
Well...
let's see what happens, Matt, when I re-enable it.
Damn, Jaren, you're not going to be able to play with your friends because you wanted to play dress up.
But Matt, I needed to get the sweet pick. Matt, I might use it. No, I probably won't use it as a show post.
I mean, Jaren,
Matt,
if you get banned, you have to use it as a show art.
Fair enough, Matt. Fair enough. But Matt, that's my adventures in the lands between. Maybe probably one more update in the near future when I fight the final boss. But yeah, it's still more Elden Ring, still fun. And they should just have transmog proper. It'd be so easier for me just because sometimes, Matt, when I finish a boss, I want to be in my Fia dress instead of my god-awful min-max armor because I need to min-max.
I mean, Jaren, I think just for like PvP, they never will.
They won't. They won't. But Matt, sorry for taking a segment for Elden Ring. But Matt, I think it's that time of the week right now. Matt, please take it away.
So Jaren, of course, it's time for a Don't Match Me challenge. And Jaren, I didn't know really how this particular episode was going to play out because, as usual, we usually, try to pair the Don't Match Me to be relevant to the episode.
Yep.
And since I didn't know what was going to be in this episode, Jaren, I just went with a very generic Don't Match Me, Jaren.
Fair enough, Matt.
Jaren, this Don't Match Me is themed on colors. So, for, those of you who don't know how the game works, Don't Match Me is basically just a game that we play here where we're going to ask 5 questions and we are going to give 5 answers. And your goal as the player is to not match the answers that I, as the question giver, am going to provide.
Yes.
So, let's just take it from the top. Jaren, this is a colors Don't Match Me. So all the questions are going to be based on colors. And my first question, Jaren, is just name any shade of white. So, the kind of whites that, you would see in a paint store, a Home Depot when you're, trying to buy a type of white.
So, Matt, for example, we're painting the Saturday Morning Arcade Clubhouse. We're at the paint store. We're at that local hardware store, and we're looking for a shade of white. So name any shade of white. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So just any shade of white. So going in 3, 2, 1. I went with bone.
Matt. I went with cream.
Ooh, a classic, Jared.
Yes.
Jared, I think if I didn't go with bone, I was gonna go with basically just a slight offshoot of bone, eggshell.
Fair enough, Matt. Fair enough.
Okay, so question number 2. Name a food that includes green in the name. So any food that contains green in the name. All right. So hopefully you got your answers ready. We're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Jaren, I went with green onions.
Oh. Matt. Do you count? Matt, I said green tea.
I was going to count green tea. Green tea was one of the answers I was considering.
Matt. I learned that is ocha.
Yep.
I hate my life, Matt.
Yeah, Jared, you gotta get those Duolingo reps in, or else the green bird is gonna come kill you.
Matt, that girl with the purple hair sounds like Crony, and I enjoy every time she reads an example to me.
It's a very memorable character. Okay,
my favorite Duolingo character, if you will.
Yeah, I think that might track for me as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Still in it.
Jaren, getting, I think, a little bit more specific here. Jaren, name a Power Ranger color. Any color of
Ooh.
like a Power Ranger. That's all it needs to be.
Okay.
Just naming it in 3, 2, 1. Jaren, I've gone with the White Power Ranger.
Then I went with the Yellow Ranger.
That makes sense. Oh man,
Yep.
Jaren.
Matt, I went through all the colors, but my initial thought was the Yellow Ranger.
Oh man, Jaren, I love the White Power Ranger goof.
It's a good goof. It's also a bad goof.
It's also a bad goof. Yes, it's also a bad goof.
It's also bad. Man, that realization when you're older, though, Matt. Quite the realization.
Okay, so Jaren, going towards my next question, Jaren, name any standard rainbow color. So I am thinking within the Roy G. Biv.
Matt, I know which one, but I'm trying to meta this based, as I said before, 20 years of friendship, Matt. Weird. Okay.
So name any standard Roy G. Biv rainbow color.
Yep.
In 3, 2, 1. Jaren, of course, I'm going with indigo.
Matt, I knew it. I knew you were gonna pick it, but in my heart, I knew I had to pick it as well.
Oh,
Matt, I'm out. But I knew in the back of my head. I said no. You know what Matt's gonna pick. You should switch to green, but went with my heart. Even though I knew I was walking to my doom because of friendship, Matt.
We got it, Jared. I don't really have a good grasp of what the color indigo is.
Yep. That is purple.
I thought it was blue.
I'm pretty sure indigo's purple, man.
Maybe. I don't know. I gotta take another look at indigo.
Hello, Google. Is indigo purple or blue? Indigo is a rich color between blue and violet.
Classic.
Well, I said purple. I'm gonna count that as an L, Matt.
Okay, so Jaren, going towards my last question. I think in honor of the 2024 Summer Olympics, name any of the Olympic ring colors. Any of the Olympic ring colors. I believe there are 5, unless some crazy thing has happened that I am unaware of.
Okay, I got my pick, Matt. I got my pick.
So, going from 3, 2, 1. Jaren, I picked yellow.
Matt? Went with my heart this time, and I went green, even though I'm out.
Ooh.
4 for 5, Matt. 4 for 5. We take that. We take the small wins here.
We take those.
We take the small wins in this loss. But Matt, thank you for putting together the Don't Match Me challenge this week. Matt, great segue, because next in 2 weeks we start our Olympic coverage here in the Mistake Zone.
Oh man,
Matt. I hope those still stream on Prime, because I remember back in 2020 watching the skateboarding Olympics on Prime, because I don't have cable.
Ooh.
Was good. And I hope I can continue to watch Olympic skateboarding on Prime. Matt, another Beefy Boy episode this week. We talked about some anime, we talked about some video games, and we talked about some colors. But Matt, as always, I want to thank you for joining me this week, editing this podcast, and again, bringing us the Don't Match Me this week.
Yo, thanks, Jaren. As always, I want to thank you for hosting this episode and, unfortunately bringing me the very unfortunate news that Dave the Diver is not going to be doing any butt shooting.
I apologize on behalf of Nikke, Matt. Matt, I want to thank anime. I want to thank video games. Don't want to thank Miyazaki right now. Matt, I want to thank Demon Lords. I want to thank Retrying. I want to thank Fire Forces. And Matt, I want to thank a particular Fire Force character and apologize to her. You know who I'm talking about.
Jared, you know what? While we're in here, Jared, I don't want to thank Nintendo Life, because Jaren, I still have the Altered Beast like search open on my computer, and I just noticed that Nintendo Life has given Altered Beast a 3 out of 10. I do want to thank the Google users because 93% of people like this video game.
Count me in that 93%, Matt. But Matt, please take it away.
This has been the Mistake Zone, and we are probably all out of Space Channel 5.
No.